All right, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be installing some truck bed lights in the bed of my 2014 F-150. Now you're asking yourself, well, why wouldn't I just use the third brake light up top? Well, funny enough, the third brake light only comes on when I have a door open, and really kind of sucks for lighting because when you try and strap stuff down in the middle of the night or when it's dark out, that light isn't the brightest. I mean, it works and it does its job, but we're going to add these in there so it can light it up a whole lot more. Let's get started. So I ordered this kit off of Amazon from the brand Nilight. It comes with 3 light strips. I believe they're about 50 inches long. Comes with a little bit of extra wire to connect to a battery. I'm personally not gonna connect it to a battery. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not gonna connect it to an external battery. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run electrical all the way throughout the bottom of the truck and run it all the way back to my main battery. That way I don't have to have a battery just floating around back here, and everything is tied up front and it stays there, and I should theoretically never have to disconnect it. We're first going to start by getting these laid out in the positions I want them, and then we'll go in, clean up the surface a little bit with some brake clean or something, starting fluid maybe, I don't know, whatever I got. And then we will mount the lights and start getting on to wiring. Okay, so now to keep the wiring nice and neat, I guess I was actually able to take this whole line and shove it down in this body hole here, and I'll just connect it to this one and just tuck it in there as much as I can while making it look as neat as possible. Alright, now I'll still have to go through and get those sticky adhesive zip tie mounts and probably zip tie this to here, so that way it kind of just stays in place and doesn't really flop around that much. But you get the idea, just connect them together. Now the other side is going to be a little bit more difficult because I got 2 lines to connect, make it look neat and pretty, and then we should be able to start running our connection for the battery under the truck. Now that we have everything finally ran back, we can go ahead and connect these 2 together. And now what we can do is try and figure out how to make this all look neat and pretty. So I think I'm going to use this hole again, or this new hole, and run it into here real quick. We're going to need a few supplies. Like I said, I got extra wire here. We're going to take this and run that all the way to the front. We're going to take this and strip it back a little bit farther, give us a little bit more room to work with. Because we got heat shrink solder butt connectors. Now what those will do is they'll slide on, you heat shrink, and then it's got solder on the inside that will melt and fuse the wires together so you don't have a bad connection. So now these wires are pre-tinned. I doubt you guys can see it, but you'll see that if you can, there's a difference between the copper and the tinned wire on the end. That will help, but there is plenty of solder on the inside of these, as you can tell. So let's just finish up this one real quick. I believe we got 14 gauge here. All right, now that we're holding, go ahead and slide this one in like that. Now that we got them both in there, we need to heat up the solder till it melts. Should shrink right around it. Just like that. Now we're gonna let it cool. While that's cooling, we can do the same thing on the other one. All right, so you might be able to see, but the solder traveled all the way around on that one. I believe it didn't do it on this one. I guess it did. It's just on the back side, couldn't really see it. But now it is a nice secure connection and it's waterproof. But we're also going to run wire loom on the inside of this, and that will protect the wires from any outside debris. If you guys have worked with wire loom before, you can know that shoving these wires into this loom is kind of a pain in the ass. Now I saw this online, so we're gonna try it ourselves, but you slide a wrench all the way down to where your connection is going to start in the wire loom, and then you should be able to just open this up and kind of feed it through and run it down as far as you need to. So we're gonna try that and see what happens. All right, we're gonna try and get this started up here first. All right, well, I think I should have gotten just a little bit thicker wire loom, but you know what? This will work. Look how easy, kind of, as long as you can keep it down in there, the process is. All right, stand by.
1 hour later.
We finally got like 45 feet of cable through this wire loom. Now, if there's one thing I learned about this is make sure you get, they base it off the inside diameter. So the inside diameter of this one was 1/4 inch, and I ran 2 14 gauge wires through there. I would have much rather have gone with the 3/8 inch inside diameter. I think it would have held in a lot better because you can kind of see that it doesn't exactly hold it in nice and tight, but it holds it in there just enough. Now I believe what we can do is take it and push it through the hole down here, and it should come out the bottom of the truck somewhere. Uh-oh. And now, I want it to be like that. Kind of a bummer it worked like that. It should just be. Well, you know what? Either way, we'll tie that up and make it look pretty later. But you get the idea. Run it down as far as I can. About like that, I think I'll be happy with. And then we'll just kind of tie all this stuff together here and put our switch somewhere like that. That'll happen. Now we can take it and run it along the whole bottom of the truck and bring it up to the battery. Now that we finally have everything routed under the truck and to the front, which is, well, to the battery at least, which is, I guess, at the front of the truck anyways, we're gonna throw ends on them. Now I do have ring terminals, and they're actually heat shrink as well, because we want to keep everything as watertight as possible, so nothing actually happens to it. So slide that in there and we'll just kind of crimp her down. I personally prefer a soldered connection method just because they're much better and chance of failure is much lower. Okay, oh, see, bummer. Take 2. Yes, I know I'm not technically using the right portion or the right tool for this, but sometimes, and that's all you got, that's all you can do. Plus, well, yeah. I'll get it eventually. It's at my... I'll get it eventually. All right, so Now there's like 17 spots I can attach this on my battery, which I think I'm just gonna tie it into here and tie it into here. But I don't really want to completely disconnect the truck, but I think it's gonna end up getting disconnected, which means all my stuff on the inside is gonna reset to metric instead of standard. So I'll just have to go back through and redo all that, but that's fine. So I wanna say it's a 10 mil on these, maybe an 8. I believe that's an 8, that's 10. I just double checked, and blue goes to red, and the white blue goes to negative. Now, I probably should have hit it with some heat to seal up that heat shrink first, but should be able to do that right after this, and still get a good seal on it. So that one's there. Now I'll still go back through and probably double zip tie some of this stuff, but for now, it'll be just fine. Put this in here. All right, now we can run back and double check and make sure this whole thing actually works. Moment of truth. Shazah! All right, guys, it worked. This is a relatively cheap thing to do, but it is time consuming if you decide to run it all the way back to your main battery, just because you want it as neat and orderly as possible. 2.5 hours. Actually, I don't know how long this took. Probably close to 2 hours to actually complete. Now I still got to go through and clean up all the zip ties. I'm excited to see how much of a difference this makes at night. I know it's bright outside right now, but give it a few hours and we'll be back out here to check. It's actually dark enough to finally try out my new lights that I installed. Normally what I would do is when it's dark out and I gotta strap something down in the back of the truck, I have to open the door, leave it cracked. Now that's not super bright. I don't know if you guys can really see that well, but it's obviously showing some dark spots in here. I mean, we got about a 2-foot section up front that's not even lit up at all. And this is what I'd have to do constantly, is just leave a door open so I could see what I'm doing. So instead, what we did is we installed these lights. Now we let these ones fade out real quick. All right. So now we'll see what it's actually supposed to look like at night. 10 times brighter. I mean, you can see everything. At least I can. That is the whole reason why I installed these lights, is then I can see in the truck bed late at night.